Today, I want to invite you into a conversation that could redefine what you believe about leadership forever. Maybe you have been taught that leadership is reserved for a select few, the ones with the loudest voices, the highest positions, or the most impressive resumes. But what if that belief has kept you from realizing your own capacity to lead? What if right now there is a seed of leadership within you waiting to be cultivated? Not in the spotlight, but in the hidden places of your daily life. This message will reveal where true leadership really begins, why most people never step into it, and how you can rise above the limitations that have kept you small. If you stay with me to the end, you will walk away with a clear understanding of how to unlock the leader within you and the courage to live it out. True leadership is not about titles or recognition. It starts the moment you take responsibility for your own life. You cannot lead others where you have refused to lead yourself. The first territory you must master is your own mindset, your own habits, your own character. Leadership grows in the soil of self-discipline. It flourishes when you decide to govern your choices, rather than blame your circumstances. The moment you stop pointing fingers at everyone else and start cultivating your own purpose, you begin the journey toward authentic leadership. But purpose is not found in shallow ambition. Purpose is discovered in service. Real leaders are servants at heart. They do not measure their value by how many people serve them, but by how many people they empower. The greatest leaders are those who understand that their influence is a trust, a sacred responsibility to make life better for others. Leadership is cultivated when you wake up every day asking not, "What can I get?" but "What can I give?" That shift transforms ordinary individuals into extraordinary leaders. You will not discover your leadership in comfort. You will discover it when you face adversity. Crisis is where leadership is tested and proven. When things fall apart, true leaders rise. They do not wait for someone else to fix the problem. They become the answer. Pressure reveals character, and if you allow difficulty to refine you instead of defeating you, you will uncover strengths you never knew you possessed. Vision is another essential ingredient. Leadership without vision is like a ship without a rudder. It drifts, reacting to every wave but never arriving anywhere meaningful. Vision is what keeps you moving forward when obstacles threaten to stop you. It fuels perseverance and inspires others to believe in something bigger than themselves. But vision alone is not enough. Character must be the foundation. Skills can impress, but only character sustains. Without integrity, influence will eventually collapse. The greatest tragedy is not when a leader lacks ability, but when they lack the moral compass to steward their influence. True leadership is cultivated through daily decisions to act with honesty, humility, and consistency. In the end, leadership is not about applause or recognition. It is about legacy. It is measured by the impact you leave behind, the lives you touch, the people you lift, and the example you set. When you understand this, you realize leadership is not something you wait to be given. It is something you choose to grow. If you are ready to discover where true leadership is cultivated within your purpose, your discipline, your service, and your character, then stay with me. Because what you are about to learn can transform not only how you lead others, but how you lead your own life. True leadership is not a title or position. It is the product of self-discovery and purpose. For too long, people have believed that leadership belongs only to those who have been appointed, elected, or promoted. They think it requires a fancy title on a business card, an office on the top floor, or a nameplate that announces authority. But titles are merely labels. They can be given or taken away. Positions can change with a vote, an organizational shift, or an economic downturn. If your identity as a leader depends on a title, you will always be insecure because you are leaning on something external to prove your worth. True leadership is something no one can give you or take away because it comes from within. It begins with self-discovery. Before you can lead others, you must first know who you are. This is the hidden foundation beneath all effective leadership. Without a clear sense of identity, you will constantly compare yourself to other people, trying to mimic their style, copy their ideas, or measure your value by their approval. But self-discovery frees you from imitation. It grounds you in the truth of your own uniqueness. It is the courageous process of asking yourself, what is it that I was created to do? What gifts and passions do I carry that can serve a purpose bigger than myself? When you dare to answer those questions honestly, you step onto the path of authentic leadership. Purpose is what transforms self-discovery into influence. Purpose gives direction to your energy and clarity to your decisions. Without purpose, leadership becomes performance. You end up trying to impress rather than impact, to be seen rather than to serve. But when you have a purpose that is bigger than your ego, you are no longer driven by fear or the need for constant validation. You can stand firm in who you are and what you believe, even when others do not understand or agree. Purpose becomes your compass, guiding you through uncertainty, resistance, and distraction. This is why so many people with impressive titles still feel empty. They may have climbed the ladder of success only to discover it was leaning against the wrong wall. Without self-discovery and purpose, leadership feels hollow. You can achieve goals, hit targets, and gain recognition, but still lack a sense of fulfillment. True leadership is not measured by outward success alone, but by the internal alignment between who you are and what you do. When you are anchored in your purpose, you experience a deep satisfaction that no salary or status can replace. Self-discovery also unlocks resilience. Leaders who know their purpose can withstand criticism, setbacks, and seasons of obscurity because their identity is not tied to public approval. They understand that their worth does not rise or fall with other people's opinions. This is the difference between positional authority and personal leadership. Positional authority is fragile. It depends on whether others continue to endorse you. Personal leadership is unshakable because it is rooted in conviction. It is important to realize that discovering yourself is not a one-time event. It is a lifelong process of reflection, learning, and growth. As you encounter new experiences, your understanding of your strengths and calling will deepen. You will uncover new dimensions of your potential that you never knew existed. Every season of life gives you another opportunity to refine your purpose and grow into the leader you were born to be. If you want to become a leader whose impact endures, start by looking inward. Get honest about who you are, what you value, and what drives you. Take time to define your purpose beyond a job description or a set of goals. When you live from that place of self-awareness and purpose, you won't have to force people to follow you. They will be drawn to your clarity, inspired by your conviction, and empowered by your example. This is where true leadership is cultivated. Not in a title, but in the discovery of your own identity and the commitment to live it out fully. Leadership is cultivated through personal discipline and a commitment to growth. You can have the greatest vision in the world, the most inspiring dreams, and even the natural charisma to attract others, but without discipline, none of it will last. Discipline is the silent architect behind every life of significance. It is the daily decision to do what is necessary, not merely what is convenient. Many people admire the fruit of great leadership, the achievement, the recognition, the influence, but they overlook the roots that sustain it. Those roots are built in moments when no one is watching, when you choose integrity over shortcuts, learning over complacency, and purpose over distraction. Personal discipline is not a glamorous topic. It doesn't get the applause or headlines, but it is the secret ingredient that separates those who lead effectively from those who merely talk about it. Discipline means you have the ability to govern yourself. It means you can set boundaries around your time, your habits, and your environment so that your energy is focused on what truly matters. Leaders who lack discipline eventually sabotage their own influence. They overcommit, procrastinate, or allow their impulses to steer their decisions. In contrast, disciplined leaders are steady. They have mastered the art of consistency. And consistency compounds. It builds credibility over time and earns the trust of others. Commitment to growth is the companion of discipline. No one arrives at a place of leadership fully formed. Growth is a deliberate process of stretching beyond what is comfortable or familiar. Leaders who stop learning stop leading. They become stagnant, relying on outdated ideas and past accomplishments to define them. But real leadership demands that you keep evolving. It means staying curious, admitting you don't know everything, and seeking wisdom wherever you can find it. A commitment to growth often requires humility. You must be willing to face your blind spots and confront your weaknesses. It can be uncomfortable to discover the areas where you fall short. But this honesty is the birthplace of maturity. When you own your gaps, you open the door to transformation. Leaders who pretend to have it all together end up leading from insecurity and fear. Those who embrace growth lead from strength because they are not threatened by imperfection. Discipline and growth also empower you to model what you expect from others. It's easy to demand accountability from your team or your community, but the real test is whether you hold yourself to the same standards. People do not follow what you say as much as they follow who you are. When they see you practicing discipline, showing up prepared, following through on promises, putting in the work, they are inspired to raise their own standards. When they witness your commitment to learning and improving, they feel permission to do the same. One of the greatest misconceptions about leadership is that it happens all at once, through some defining moment or breakthrough. In reality, it happens slowly, through small, repeated choices. It happens when you wake up early to prepare instead of hitting the snooze button, when you study instead of scrolling, when you invest in developing your character rather than just polishing your image. Over time, those decisions build a life of integrity and resilience that others can trust. It is important to remember that discipline is not about perfection. You will fail at times. You will fall short of your own expectations. But discipline means you get back up and try again. It means you refuse to let setbacks become excuses. Every time you recommit, you grow stronger. Every time you choose growth over stagnation, you expand your capacity to lead. If you want to cultivate leadership that lasts, begin with yourself. Make discipline your foundation. Make growth your daily priority. As you do, you will discover that leadership is not something you have to chase. It becomes the natural outcome of a life committed to excellence and purpose. This is how true leaders are built, one disciplined step at a time. The environment where leadership is cultivated is an environment of vision and possibility. If you look at any person who has led others with impact and conviction, you will discover that they did not emerge from a space that tolerated small thinking or limited dreams. They were shaped in an atmosphere where imagination was valued, where the future was not something to fear but something to create. Vision breathes life into leadership because it gives people a reason to rise above survival and invest themselves in something larger. Without vision, leadership withers into maintenance, keeping things as they are, protecting the familiar and avoiding risk. But when vision is present, leadership becomes a force of transformation. A culture of possibility is not just about optimism or feel-good slogans. It is about cultivating a mindset that refuses to accept limitations as permanent. It challenges assumptions about what can or cannot be done. It questions old narratives that say, "This is the way it has always been." It teaches people to look beyond their current circumstances and to ask, what could be if we dared to believe for more? This environment is fertile ground for leaders to emerge because it nurtures creativity and courage. People feel empowered to contribute ideas without the fear of ridicule. They are encouraged to see obstacles not as dead ends, but as invitations to innovate. Leaders who flourish in a culture of vision and possibility understand that imagination is not childish or frivolous. It is essential. Every breakthrough in business, science, culture, or community began as an idea that someone was bold enough to pursue. When you allow yourself to imagine a future that does not yet exist, you tap into the hidden reserves of passion and resilience. You begin to see yourself not as a passive observer of life, but as an active participant in shaping it. That shift in perspective is what awakens leadership potential. It ignites a sense of ownership and responsibility that cannot be delegated or outsourced. It is also important to recognize that vision requires clarity. Vague aspirations do not inspire commitment. A leader must be able to articulate a picture of the future so compelling that others can see themselves in it. When people understand where you are going and why it matters, they are far more likely to invest their talents and energy alongside you. A clear vision cuts through confusion and unites people around a common purpose. It provides direction in times of uncertainty and motivates action when the path is difficult. The environment of possibility also demands that you surround yourself with people who believe in growth rather than limitation. If you spend your time in circles where cynicism and criticism dominate, your capacity to dream will shrink. Negative environments choke vision because they magnify what is wrong and minimize what is possible. By contrast, a positive, forward-thinking culture nurtures the courage to act on conviction. It encourages experimentation and accepts that failure is part of progress. This does not mean ignoring reality or pretending problems don't exist. It means refusing to allow problems to have the final word. Creating this environment begins with you. You must become the kind of person who sees beyond obstacles, who insists on asking better questions, who holds fast to purpose even when evidence is thin. Your example becomes an invitation for others to do the same. When you model vision, you give people permission to rediscover their own. Over time, this environment builds momentum. Each small step toward possibility reinforces belief. Each success, no matter how modest, fuels confidence. As people see progress, their willingness to take risks increases. They start to recognize that they are not bound by the past or by the expectations of others. They can create something new. If you want to be a leader who transforms rather than maintains, cultivate an environment of vision and possibility. Speak about the future with conviction. Challenge assumptions that keep people stuck. Celebrate creativity and resilience. As you do, you will discover that leadership is not imposed by authority, but inspired by imagination. And that is where true impact begins. The greatest leadership is rooted in service, not status. This is one of the most misunderstood truths about influence and impact. So many people equate leadership with titles, positions, or privileges. They think being a leader means sitting at the top, being recognized, and having others serve them. But genuine leadership does not begin with the pursuit of power. It begins with the willingness to serve a cause greater than yourself. Service is what gives leadership credibility, and without it, authority becomes hollow and self-serving. When you commit to serving others, you cultivate empathy. You begin to see beyond your own needs and ambitions, recognizing the hopes, struggles, and aspirations of those around you. This awareness creates a connection that no title can manufacture. People trust leaders who care about them, who listen without judgment, and who make decisions based on what is best for the mission and the community, not just what is easiest or most beneficial personally. In service transforms leadership from an exercise in control into an expression of purpose. Serving others also keeps you grounded. No matter how much influence you gain, when you remain committed to helping people grow and succeed, your perspective stays clear. You are less likely to be blinded by ego or distracted by applause. You measure your effectiveness not by how many people answer to you, but by how many lives you have helped elevate. This mindset protects you from the traps of pride and entitlement, which have destroyed many promising leaders who lost touch with why they started. A culture of service means you are willing to do the unglamorous work. You are prepared to carry burdens, solve problems, and clean up messes that no one else wants to deal with. This does not diminish your authority. It enhances it. When people see that you are not above the work, they respect you more. They know you are in the trenches with them, not just issuing orders from a comfortable distance. That shared experience forges loyalty and a sense of shared mission that cannot be replicated by motivational speeches or performance incentives alone. True service is proactive, not reactive. It does not wait for someone to ask for help. It looks ahead, anticipates needs, and acts before it is convenient. It involves taking responsibility for the well-being of others, even when it requires personal sacrifice. This kind of leadership creates an environment where people feel valued and safe, and where their contributions are recognized. When individuals feel genuinely cared for, they are far more willing to go above and beyond in pursuit of shared goals. One of the most powerful ways to serve is by empowering others to lead. Insecure leaders hoard knowledge and control because they fear becoming replaceable. But confident, service-minded leaders share what they know. They invest time in mentoring and developing people's strengths. They celebrate when others rise because they understand that true success is measured by how many leaders you create, not by how indispensable you become. This commitment to raising others ensures that the vision outlives you because you have multiplied your impact through the people you have poured into. Service is not weakness. It is strength under control. It requires courage to put others first in a world that rewards self-promotion. It demands humility to admit you do not have all the answers and to seek input from those you lead. It takes discipline to stay focused on mission and purpose when distractions and temptations pull at you from every side. But it is precisely this posture of service that gives leadership its moral authority. When people see that you are motivated by something beyond your own advancement, they follow you with conviction. If you want to cultivate leadership that endures, build it on the foundation of service. Make it your mission to lift others, to solve problems that matter, and to leave every person and place better than you found them. Status fades, titles change, applause dies down, but the impact of a life dedicated to service creates a legacy that lasts far beyond your time. That is where real leadership is born, and that is where it grows. Character is the bedrock of leadership. Without it, no skill, vision, or strategy can sustain influence over the long term. People often think of leadership as something you demonstrate in public. But character is who you are when no one is watching. It is the invisible force that guides your decisions, shapes your reactions under pressure, and anchors your convictions when circumstances change. If you lack character, your leadership will eventually collapse because people can sense when your words and your life do not align. Character is formed over time. It is built through small, consistent choices that reflect integrity and self-discipline. Every time you honor your word, even when it costs you, you strengthen the foundation of trust that others will stand on. When you admit a mistake instead of shifting blame, you demonstrate humility. When you refuse to compromise your values for short-term gain, you prove that your motives are genuine. These are not dramatic moments that make headlines, but they are the moments that define you and set you apart. A leader with character is not perfect. They do not pretend to have it all together. What distinguishes them is their commitment to personal growth and accountability. They surround themselves with people who will tell them the truth, not just what they want to hear. They invite feedback and correction because they know that blind spots are dangerous. This humility to learn is a hallmark of character-driven leadership, and it prevents the arrogance that so often precedes a fall. One of the most critical aspects of character is consistency. People want to know that their leaders can be relied upon regardless of the season. If you are kind and principled when things are easy, but rude or deceitful when challenges arise, your influence becomes unstable. Consistency does not mean you never struggle or feel pressure. It means you remain anchored to your values no matter what. This reliability creates confidence in those who follow you. They can trust your word. They can trust your motives. They can trust your example. Character is also revealed in how you treat those who can offer you nothing in return. It is easy to be respectful and generous toward people who have power or status, but your true nature is evident in how you engage with the overlooked, the vulnerable, and the ordinary. If you consistently treat every person with dignity, it shows that you lead from conviction rather than convenience. Over time, people remember how you made them feel more than any speech you delivered or target you achieved. Self-discipline is another essential dimension of character. Leaders are constantly presented with opportunities to take shortcuts, bend rules, or justify compromise. Discipline is what enables you to say no to what is expedient and yes to what is right. It is the daily practice of aligning your actions with your principles. It might mean staying late to finish a commitment, preparing diligently when no one requires it, or resisting the temptation to gratify ego or appetite at the expense of your integrity. This discipline becomes visible in your habits and decisions, and it earns respect over time. Courage is yet another expression of character. It takes courage to stand for what is right when it is unpopular. It takes courage to confront unethical practices and to lead with transparency. A leader without courage will shrink back from necessary conflict or remain silent in the face of wrongdoing. But a leader of character chooses conviction over comfort. This does not mean becoming combative or arrogant. It means refusing to abandon principles for the sake of approval or safety. Finally, character ensures that your leadership outlives you. Skill alone can achieve results, but only character can build trust that endures. It is the invisible inheritance you leave behind, a reputation for integrity, fairness, and steadfastness. Long after your achievements fade, your example will continue to inspire others. If you desire to build something that lasts, focus less on image and more on substance. Character will be tested. It will be challenged. But in the end, it is what will set your leadership apart and give it the power to transform lives. Influence is not something you demand, it is something you earn. Many people enter leadership roles assuming that the title itself will automatically secure others' respect and cooperation. But influence cannot be imposed by authority alone. True influence emerges when people see that you consistently embody the values you talk about, when your actions match your convictions, and when you create an environment where trust flourishes. It is earned through credibility, demonstrated competence, and genuine care for those you lead. The first way you earn influence is by becoming a model others want to emulate. People are always watching you, whether you realize it or not. They observe how you respond to setbacks, how you treat the powerless, how you make decisions under pressure. When they see you consistently choosing integrity over convenience, service over selfishness, and humility over arrogance, your example becomes a silent but powerful teacher. You don't have to announce your values. People will see them in your behavior, and over time, this alignment between words and actions generates authentic influence. Influence also grows from your commitment to excellence. Competence is not optional if you want people to trust you. You cannot inspire confidence if you do not deliver results. When you take your responsibilities seriously, prepare thoroughly, and pursue growth instead of coasting, you demonstrate respect for your role and for those who rely on you. People will follow leaders who have proven they can be counted on, who show up ready to contribute, and who raise the standards for everyone. Mediocrity erodes influence because it signals that you don't care enough to give your best. Excellence communicates that you value both your mission and your team. Relationship building is another pillar of influence. No one wants to feel like a disposable means to an end. When you take time to listen to people, understand their stories, and invest in their development, you build bonds that sustain influence, even in difficult seasons. Relationships founded on mutual respect and care allow you to speak truth when necessary, without alienating those you lead. They create safety and loyalty that cannot be manufactured through authority alone. You become not just a supervisor, but a trusted guide and ally. Influence deepens further when you demonstrate empathy. Leaders who are detached or dismissive quickly lose credibility. Empathy does not mean agreeing with everyone or tolerating dysfunction, but it does mean being willing to enter into others' experiences, to feel their burdens, and to respond with compassion. When people know you understand and care, they are far more open to your direction. They trust that your decisions will consider their well-being, and this trust becomes the bedrock for sustained influence. One of the most overlooked aspects of influence is consistency. Anyone can be inspiring for a moment, but lasting influence is earned over time. When people see that you remain steady in your convictions, dependable in your actions, and unshaken by adversity, they gain confidence in your leadership. Consistency makes you predictable in the best sense. It assures people that you will not betray your principles or abandon them when things get hard. It creates stability in a world where so many leaders change course with every wind of opinion. Another way you earn influence is by elevating others. Insecure leaders try to keep people small so they can feel important. But truly impactful leaders share credit, celebrate others' strengths, and create opportunities for growth. When you are committed to seeing people succeed, your influence multiplies. They will remember that you invested in them, and they will carry that empowerment forward into their own spheres of influence. In this way, your legacy expands beyond your direct reach. Lastly, you earn influence by remaining teachable. No matter how skilled or experienced you become, there is always more to learn. When you demonstrate openness to feedback and a willingness to grow, you model humility and strength. People respect leaders who admit they don't have all the answers, who adapt, and who stay curious. This posture of learning keeps your influence fresh because it shows that you are more concerned with truth and improvement than with preserving your ego. In the end, influence is the quiet force that moves people toward a shared vision. You can never force it. You can only cultivate it by living with integrity, serving with commitment, and leading with authenticity. This is the influence that endures, earned day by day through your example. Vision is the compass that guides leadership. Without a clear and compelling vision, a leader will drift aimlessly or become consumed by daily distractions that have no lasting significance. Vision is the ability to see beyond current circumstances and imagine a better future that does not yet exist. It is the inner picture that fuels purpose and gives meaning to every action. When you possess a vision, you are not merely reacting to life. You are leading it with intention. A leader's vision is not confined to personal ambition. It is bigger than individual success or recognition. True vision always considers the impact on others. It answers questions like, what kind of legacy do I want to create? What difference can we make together? How will the world be improved because we dare to act? This perspective elevates leadership from self-interest to service. When people sense that your vision includes them, that their lives, gifts, and contributions matter to a greater cause, they are drawn to your mission with a depth of commitment that no amount of compensation or persuasion can buy. Vision gives clarity in confusion. In seasons of uncertainty, a leader without vision will become reactive, making decisions based on fear, public opinion, or the pressure of the moment. But a vision-driven leader has a reference point that transcends the immediate. Even when circumstances are chaotic, you can say, this is where we are going. You can help others see beyond the obstacle to the opportunity. This steadiness reassures people and keeps the collective energy moving forward instead of dissolving into panic or apathy. Possessing vision also shapes your daily discipline. When you know where you are headed, you become intentional about how you spend your time, what skills you develop, and which relationships you nurture. You stop wasting energy on pursuits that don't align with your purpose. You start to filter your decisions through the lens of your desired future. This focus is what separates effective leaders from busy but unproductive ones. They understand that every step, no matter how small, should advance the vision. Vision is contagious. When you communicate it with passion and conviction, it ignites imagination in others. People want to be part of something larger than themselves. They crave meaning and significance in their work and relationships. A compelling vision gives them both. When you can articulate a clear picture of a better tomorrow and show them their role in bringing it to life, you tap into their deepest motivation. You awaken a sense of possibility that transforms mere compliance into wholehearted engagement. It is important to recognize that vision is not static. It evolves as you grow, learn, and gain new insights. What begins as a simple idea can mature into a rich, multifaceted mission. Wise leaders remain flexible enough to adapt their strategies while holding fast to the core of their vision. They understand that circumstances will shift, resources will change, and unexpected challenges will arise. But instead of abandoning their vision, they refine it. They ask, how can we express this purpose more effectively in this new context? This adaptability ensures the vision remains relevant and compelling. Vision also requires courage. It often asks you to challenge the status quo, disrupt comfortable routines, and risk failure. Many people will not understand or support your vision in the early stages. They may call it unrealistic or even foolish. But leadership is not about gaining universal approval. It is about remaining faithful to what you know you are called to build. It is about taking action even when no one is applauding. Over time, as your vision produces results, those who doubted will begin to see its merit. But you must have the courage to carry it alone if necessary. Lastly, vision is sustained by conviction. It is not a passing enthusiasm or a temporary dream. It is a deep inner knowing that this is the reason you were entrusted with influence. This conviction becomes the fuel that keeps you moving when the work is difficult, when resources are limited, and when progress is slow. It is the voice within that whispers, keep going, this matters. When you lead from this place of unwavering purpose, you inspire others to discover their own vision. And together, you create a future worth fighting for. Legacy is the ultimate measure of leadership. It is the sum of everything you invest in people, the values you instill, and the influence you leave behind long after your name is forgotten. A true leader never lives only for the applause of today or the rewards of the moment. Instead, they lead with the understanding that their actions, character, and decisions are seeds planted in the lives of others. Seeds that will grow into forests of impact beyond their lifetime. Every day you lead, you are writing a story that others will read. Your words, your example, your habits, your treatment of people, all of it forms a blueprint that those who follow you will study. Whether you realize it or not, someone is watching you closely, learning how to handle adversity, how to treat others with dignity, how to balance conviction with humility. Your legacy is not crafted in a single heroic act, but in the consistent, small choices you make when no one is looking. This is why great leaders are deeply intentional. They do not merely react to circumstances. They act from a place of purpose, aware that the future is being shaped by their present. Legacy requires leaders to think generationally. Instead of measuring success only by what they can achieve during their tenure, they ask, what will remain when I am gone? How will the people I have mentored carry this mission forward? When you think this way, you become less concerned with preserving your own comfort and more committed to preparing others to rise higher. You start pouring wisdom into those around you. You create opportunities for people to grow, even if their growth eventually eclipses your own reputation. This is the selfless dimension of leadership. To desire a future where those you have led stand taller, stronger, and wiser because you chose to invest in them without insecurity or fear. Leaders who build lasting legacies are also anchored by unshakable values. Trends, technologies, and cultural preferences will change, but principles endure. Integrity, service, compassion, excellence. These are not negotiable. They form the foundation that supports everything else you accomplish. When your life and work are grounded in values, you give the next generation a clear standard to uphold. Even when times of crisis or moral confusion come, those you have influenced will remember the example you set. They will recall the moments you did the right thing, even when it costs you. And that memory becomes a silent teacher guiding their own decisions. Leaving a legacy is not about creating monuments in your honor. It is about multiplying your impact by empowering others to lead with the same spirit. The most effective leaders deliberately transfer their knowledge and their passion. They don't hoard their expertise or guard their insights as if they were private treasures. Instead, they share them generously. They understand that legacy grows when you lift others to their full potential. It thrives when you model what is possible and then equip others to go even further. If your influence dies when you leave the room, you were not truly leading. You were merely managing. Another dimension of legacy is resilience. People will not remember you only for what you accomplished when circumstances were favorable. They will remember how you responded when everything fell apart, when resources dried up, when critics multiplied, when the path forward disappeared. Your courage to persevere in those seasons will inspire future leaders more than any victory in times of ease. They will see that endurance is not an abstract ideal, but a real practice that makes lasting impact possible. Resilience becomes part of the inheritance you leave behind, the testimony that hardship does not have the final word. Ultimately, to build a legacy is to make peace with the reality that you are part of a story much bigger than yourself. You are a bridge between the sacrifices of those who came before and the dreams of those yet to come. You stand in that place of stewardship, recognizing that everything you have, your gifts, your opportunities, your platform, was given to you to multiply, not to bury. When you embrace this responsibility, your leadership becomes an offering. You move from self-centered ambition to selfless contribution, and long after your name fades from memory, your influence will remain, echoing in the lives you touched, the character you shaped, and the purpose you awakened. This is the true legacy every leader should aspire to leave behind.